So for the past 2 years of my life's extensive lore, I've been dedicating my spare time to coming on here and talking anything that you can think of that has to do with our favorite pixels on a screen. To the average sane person, it's weird, but to me, I'm having the time of my life. And as you would expect for someone talking about the pixel politics so often, I've held pretty much yap sessions for every major gaming topic that you can even think of. Everything from the highs to the lows to whatever bullshit Ubisoft decides to cook up, those are just easy pickings. And like I just did, I try to show the side of my humor to keep y'all entertained while you get informed because, at the end of the day, these are just video games that I'm talking about. And, like me, I'm sure that when most of you aren't being bombarded with the worst company decisions or prices that make you walk a tightrope between barely surviving and homelessness, you still will have genuine fun with said video games. But you see, out of respect for the unfortunate events that happened in our industry yesterday, and really the events that likely are going to spawn because of this, I gotta stay a little more grounded in today's meetup because, while we lost a bunch of cool things in the gaming industry, the precedent that this also sets for the future of gaming, which directly affects the players, are both something that we really don't need to see right now. So I doubt this is breaking news to any of you guys by now, but earlier yesterday, it was announced that Microsoft was effective immediately shutting down some of their first-party studios. Those studios being Arcane Austin, AlphaDog, Roadhouse Games, Tango Gameworks, and a few of Bethesda's sub-studios as a way of, quote, reprioritization of titles and resources, which, sure. If you don't know the specifics, Arcane is most known for the games Redfall and Prey. AlphaDog was behind the mighty Doom title, Tango was behind the Evil Within, Ghostwire Tokyo, and the fan favorite Hi-Fi Rush, and Bethesda, well, you know Bethesda, even the casuals know Bethesda by now. And all of these studios are getting the destruction spell treatment outside of obviously all of Bethesda and apparently Roadhouse Games, since they're just being shifted into ZeniMax Studios for future development. And I swear, this is all just a crazy ass sight to see. Not only for Xbox to get rid of a chunk of their few notable developers, which is an iceberg I've been trying to crack for years, but also, like I always try to point out whenever I talk about the layoffs, it sucks on the human side of things. Like, imagine how many of these creators grew up as passionate about video games like me, and some of you right now made it to a prestigious job for one of the biggest companies in the world to show their creativity, just to have to work in a shaky climate like today, where keeping a gaming job isn't even at the expense of lack of talent or even performance of their own title that they worked on. And while I have seen the opinion online that, developers like Arcane Austin saying how since they made trash games like Redfall, they deserve this, deconstruction, which while I don't know in detail how much money they cost Microsoft for that flop of a title, so I couldn't tell you whether they could have stayed for financial reasons or not, but what I can say is that seeing studios get cooked for one bad game of that caliber in their entire portfolio fucking sucks. But the reason that these layoffs sting, the way that they do, is because they aren't all, at least to our knowledge, being done for poor performing games. I mean, look at Tango Gameworks. Not only were they one of Xbox's few overseas developers, but a damn good one at that, with the Evil Within, Ghostwire Tokyo, and especially Hi-Fi Rush being surprising outside a game show last year and then not long after being labeled as an Xbox exclusive classic. So even if you look sideways at the other studios that are being shut down, no one in their right mind would expect for Tango Gameworks to be on that list, which is actually scary. Not even a game that delivered one of the best few exclusives on modern hardware is even safe from the crappy agendas that these big corporations and publishers are trying to push. And don't get me wrong, while this is obviously a huge loss that Xbox just has to take on the chin, the issue of companies losing really good studios for trivial reasons isn't just something that they do. Like, this is an industry-wide problem right now, happening more and more. I don't even need to give you any examples because, I'm sure whatever social media feed that you have shows layoffs happening damn near every other week. It's like the adoring fan on Oblivion. You can try, but you probably won't escape it. And it sucks even more when you think about the next or even parts of the current generation of game developers that might get discouraged seeing how unstable of income doing something as cool as making games could be at the highest level. Even though from what I know, these jobs don't always pay well to begin with, but if less and less people even consider making cool games, the more we're going to be left with these scraps of microtransaction filled copies that companies will force employees to make in the future. So what can we do? What can the community provide to stop or even reverse the trend of companies acting this annoying? Well, the head of the companies that have the most say in the matter likely don't even play video games past the Atari 2600. Like, those old farts are only in it for the dollar sign, so our only real option of protest is what we decide to pay for and play if we want to get their attention. But arguably more importantly, as far as the game studios go now and in the future, off the top of my head, I can only conclude that we gotta see more independent studios making these games, staying out the reach of these big publishers, which is something that we're seeing more and more of as indie games continue to make a rise and achieve success in the scene. But thing is, not every studio can manage all the stuff that publishers can provide, like marketing, finances, and even tools to create their games, which is why people often sign with these big companies in the first place. Luckily, we do live in a time where we can pretty much learn anything with a simple click of a touchscreen, so more information is being spread to those who need it, but only time will tell if we ever see a future where game companies don't have to suffer the way that current developers had to. So what do you guys think about these game companies and being let go left and right, man? Feel free to comment below, like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.